Hello everybody, welcome to Build or Buy. Today we're going to be talking about the Windows Update Troubleshooter. If you're having difficulty with the Windows Update, say you've gone from build 1703 to build 1709, and you're like in a quandary, why doesn't it work? Where it looks like what will happen is you'll get started with your updates, it'll go so far, and it may be trying to download half a dozen times, but it never installs or gives an error that it can't install. Your Windows Update database could be corrupted. So there's four things we're going to do. Press the Start E key, and we're going to bring up Explorer, and I'm going to click on this PC, and we're going to look for the C drive. We're going to right click on it. We're going to go to Properties, and from Properties we're going to see Disk Cleanup. Disk Cleanup is what we're after, but we're not after the first level of Disk Cleanup. We're looking for the second level of Disk Cleanup. So let's go over here to the screen. If you'll notice, there's a few things in here. You may have more, you may have less, but just as an example, delivery optimization files, 2.3 gigs. That's Microsoft's way of saying we're going to share all that stuff with everybody that's on your machine, and that's part of what that's about on your network or anybody else, unless you change that setting. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean up your disk, and we're going to get rid of some of that old stuff, so the next time it downloads it'll be clean. So this is a preliminary step. Number one, we're going to clean up the disk. Number two, we need to change the power settings. So let's get to this. Okay, if you notice here it says clean up system files. I just want to go through here and show you right quick on the first level of delivery optimization files, and there may be another set like an old version of Windows that needs to be deleted. So we're going to go to clean up system files. That screen disappears for just a second. It's in the background. Disk cleanup is calculating how much space you'll be able to free on C. This may take a few minutes to complete. Now most of this is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. You don't have to babysit with it. Some of it you will. When we get to that point, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But what we're going to do from this point is we're going to clean up these old files and see if we can get rid of this junk that's causing this to just hang. Windows Update Cleanup 10 megs. Windows Defender Antivirus 17 megs. Windows Upgrade Log Files 204 megs. Temporary Internet Files 4.99 megs. System Error Memory Dump Files 2 gigs. Some other things. The Delivery Optimization Files 2.3 gigs. Device Driver Packages, and right here, previous Windows installations. Now you can leave that. Good luck. Eventually they're supposed to delete that themselves, but this is some of what we're going to do to clean this disk up, and that's why I'm trying to help you to see that. Okay, now we're going to go through and we're going to select these files on this machine, and bear with me while we do this. Okay, I've zoomed in and I'm going to clean this up because the purpose of this is we're going on the fact that we may have a database corruption. So what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on those two, which would be the system memory dump files. I'm going to get rid of that 2 gigs. And I'm going to go down, I'm after the big stuff. I can get the little stuff. The delivery optimization files. And the delivery optimization files is probably where your problem is at. But while we're at it, we're going to get a little bit more serious. We'll go ahead and get rid of the previous installation of Windows. Now, just on the surface, we're going 31 gigs, 2 gigs, plus another 2 gigs. So that's a pretty good savings. So we're going to say OK. In fact, while we're at it, let's just do this right now. Are you sure you want to permanently delete these files? Absolutely. Delete. Disk cleanup is cleaning up necessary files on your machine, C drive. Cleaning device driver packages. Cleaning download, cleaning temporary, cleaning the Windows previous installations. If you clean up the previous Windows installation or temporary installation files, you will no longer be able to restore the machine back to the previous version of Windows. Are you sure you want to do this? That's kind of a cat and mouse thing because Microsoft pushes the new updates on you, and to go back, as long as your machine's running, there's no point in keeping it. So I'd say go ahead and get rid of it because we're trying to solve this update problem, and it usually happens from 1703 to 1709, and 09 keeps hanging. And this is all about the Windows Update database being corrupted. And for this, we're going to get to the troubleshooter in a minute, but this is preliminary. So we're going to say yes. Let's go back over to the machine. We're going to say yes. Clean it up. Get with it. Previous Windows installations are going to be gone. There's no way I could go back anyway. Unless I had a serious problem, they'd turn around and try to download it again for us. Now once we get through with this disk cleanup, the other two things you need to do, and you should always do whenever you're doing a Windows update, is we need to change the power profile. The power profile should be set to stay on at all times. And I would also suggest while your power profile is on power and set to stay on while you're doing updates, be sure and set your monitor to stay on as well. If the machine for some reason thinks it's supposed to go to sleep, again those updates will hang and you're right back where you started. So let's go on. Disk cleanup is cleaning up unnecessary files on your machine, and it's cleaning previous Windows installations. Now I've got a pretty good sized drive in that machine. I believe it's a 1 terabyte NVMe, and I have a secondary SSD in there. This machine I use for streaming, but I'd rather get this junk off of there, and I'm doing this to demonstrate what you want to do before you do the Windows Update Troubleshooter. So that's where we're at. The nice thing about this part's pretty easy. It's pretty much 1, 2, 3 going through it. But when you run the Windows Update Troubleshooter, you're going to have to babysit with it because it's going to ask you some questions and it's going to take some time. And then the last step, number 4, is you'll run Windows Update again, and that is where you want to leave it, and it'll just run and do its thing, and then it should continue and be out of your hair. And then you can go back and set your power settings the way you had them beforehand. But as long as you're doing this cleanup and running these updates, when you're not at the machine all the time, that's why we need to change the power profile. So we're doing step 1. And while this is doing this, what got me on this was Andrew was having trouble with his machine, and I borrowed it for a while, and I think we got it cleaned up. But I also had a machine that went 6 times. One time I did some research, and the error was about, it may have installed, but the error is incorrect. But after, I think at least 6, maybe 8 times, it kept trying to download, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got bandwidth, but we're consuming bandwidth doing something stupid because we keep downloading the same thing, but we're not getting anywhere. So I did a little research and figured out what the problem was, and going through this process, I got the machine cleaned up. I have no other machine that has that problem, but I got to thinking about Andrew in case his problem that I thought I solved didn't. This is the way to solve it, and should get it out of your hair. So I hope this you'll find helpful. And while we're waiting on this, some of the other things we're going to be looking at build or buy that I hope you'll enjoy. We're going to talk a little bit about 4K monitors in another segment, and it's always the question about 4K. Is that a benefit or is that a feature? And when we get to that point, I've got a monitor we're going to look at. We'll look at DisplayPort, we're looking at HDMI, and we're looking to see what kind of signal we can get out of the video card to get that 4K display up. Because again, it boils down to, on a 4K monitor, is it a feature or is it a benefit? If it's something you need, great. But if you don't need it, 8K is coming down the pike and you might want to wait. So I'm just saying. The disk cleanup is taking a little longer than I thought it would, but this is a necessary step. Here we are. It's done its due. So we've done the extra step on disk cleanup, so now we can close that screen. I'll cancel. We're done. We'll close Explorer. I'm going to go into Control Panel. I'm going to double check my power profile. Now mine's already set, but I'm going to show you this so you'll know to do this ahead of time. So when we run the update again, you won't get in that crazy circle. Go to Control Panel, Power Profile. Now I keep it set on high performance. Whatever power profile you use, that's up to you. But again, while you're doing updates, you might even create a profile that says Power Profile for updates. I use the high performance and I modify it. So here's what I do. I take the high performance, I change the plan, and I do 2 things. Never turn off the display and never put the computer to sleep. That's the way I roll when I use this machine, because again, I use it for streaming. I don't want it going to sleep while I'm not at it, but it's doing something because it's working. Can't afford to let it go to sleep. But this is what you need while you're doing this cleanup and running these updates. So I hope this helps. So that would be step 2. Change this to never, never. Say save changes. And as you can see, this is grayed out for me, so I'm going to click cancel, and I will close that screen up. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here, bring up the browser, and I'm going to do a search, the Windows Update Troubleshooter for Windows 10, Windows Update Troubleshooter, Microsoft support. We're going to click on that. If you're having problems with Windows Update, make sure you're connected to the internet and then download and run the Windows Update Troubleshooter for your version of Windows. So I'll zoom in on that, download the Troubleshooter for Windows. Now, we're going to download this file, and this file will immediately run and look at the system and interrogate it and then ask us some questions. This is where you got to pay attention to what it's asking. Just answer the questions 1, 2, 3. Then when it's done, then we go back, run the updates, and you should be finished. We're going to download the Troubleshooter. It's a WU1700509 diag cab for diagnostic cab file, which is diagnostic cabinet, 191 kilobytes, is very small. Diagnostics troubleshooting wizard is the default, so I'll just go ahead and say OK, and it will immediately run. And if it sees any errors, it'll let us know. The troubleshooting helps prevent computer problems. I'll zoom back in. It sees 3 services: Windows Update, Background Intelligent Transfer, and the Windows Network Diagnostics. We're going to click on Windows Update. We're going to click on Next. Now, if we were to go to Advanced, Troubleshooter with administrator permissions might find more issues. Apply repairs automatically. Run as administrator, and this will take us back to the control panel, I would expect. Back up to the Troubleshooter Help and Prevention. So we're going to go to Windows Update. We'll go Next. We don't need to click on Advanced again. And this will go through and interrogate the machine. And it'll say detecting problems, checking for pending updates. This might take several minutes. Let this go through the process and answer these questions as you go through it, because if it sees any corruption, some places will tell you to go run the system file checker. When you get to the point where you're running system file checker, you're in a loop and you're SOL. This is what I have found that works, so that's why I'm sharing it with you, and I hope you find it helpful as a solution. And this is all about the Windows Update. So we're going to let this go and detect problems. It shouldn't see any problems on this machine, but I'm running through this to give you an idea of what you're going to be looking at, so that way you don't have any surprises. You had enough surprises. You go online, you ask somebody a question, and all they do is ask you a bunch more questions. That's so annoying. This is a solution to a problem that a lot of people are having, but you don't need to go in circles about it. You just need someone to say, it's broke, I need it fixed, tell me what to do, be done with it. And this is it. Windows Update, detecting problems, resolving problems, stopping the crypt service, starting the crypt service. This is all about the Windows Update database. If for some reason that database gets corrupted, then we have to clean it up. Okay, repair Windows Update database corruption. One troubleshooting step to resolve Windows Update issues is to delete and re-download updates to your computer. Would you like to try this step now? Depending on your network configuration, you may incur download costs. Now this is what you want to do, and it says apply this fix. That's exactly what you want to do. So I click do it. It's starting the bits service, resolving problems, collecting files. This might take several minutes. This part's pretty painless, but when you get back to running the Windows updates, that's when it's going to take some time. But this is pretty quick and easy. But you won't know everything's done until you get through with that last step of rerunning Windows Update. Okay, download and install pending updates. Did you know that there are pending updates for this machine? Choose Apply This Fix option below to start the update process in the background immediately. So I'm going to say sure. Let's go ahead. Apply this fix. And detecting additional problems, checking for pending updates. This might take several minutes. Again, this is pretty painless. I've done it. It works. I hope it'll work for you. Detecting additional problems. Troubleshooting is completed. Okay. Now what's nice about this, it also shows some of the things it's done. So let's look at that. Troubleshooting has completed. Windows Update. The troubleshooter has made some changes to your system. Try attempting the task you were trying to do before. Problems found. Number 1, potential Windows Update database error detected. Fixed. That's curious. I didn't have a problem. At least I didn't think I did, but I'm going to fix it. So I'm getting some out of this too. Hope you feel like you're getting your money's worth today. Thumbs up. Windows Update components must be repaired. That's been fixed. Check for pending updates. That's been fixed. So the next thing to do would be to close the troubleshooter or give feedback. Well, that's kind of tough to do because you don't know that it's done until you get through the process, and you got to close this and go run the updates before you know if this has done any good. So it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse. My 2 cents. So we're going to close this because it says it's fixed, and that part is done. So let me zoom out. I'm going to minimize this. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to just bring up one of these configuration options. I went to display because I'm going to back out of this menu, and now I'm going to scroll down to update and security. This is for me the fastest way to get there. We'll click on Windows Update, and wow, lo and behold, I have some updates. Those were not there a while ago, so I had some problems I didn't know I had. I've fixed them. Very cool. Updates are available. This is 2018. Cumulative update for Windows 10 version 1709 for x64 based systems. Preparing to download 17%. Let me zoom in on that so you can see a little bit better. The next update, the security update for Adobe Flash. for 1709, awaiting to install. Then update for Windows 10 version 1709. There's a knowledge base. Let's hope this is not one of those weird updates they've done in the past that makes the system unusable. Won't know till we get finished. And while I'm at it, I'll remind everybody, one thing we talk about the first Wednesday of every month is to clone, image, and backup. Always remember that. So now we're looking at the update for Windows 10. And then we've got update for Windows 10, another knowledge base. And 1, 2, 3. So we got those 4 we're getting ready to do. So that's something to think about. So as we power through this, it's always an interesting thing when you're dealing with these issues. The best way to do it, to find a solution and not be running around in circles. This is the 1, 2, 3 process. So that's pretty much it. That's the steps. There's no need to sit here and watch this and babysit with it. The purpose of this is to run the Windows Update Troubleshooter. And the reason for that is because the Windows Update database is corrupted. So the first thing we did was we went in and we cleaned the disk of some of the garbage that was there. Then we changed our power profile so the computer would stay on, so when we get to step 4 of running the updates, the machine would not give us grief. And then step number 3, which is the most important, which is what this is about, we went and did a search for the Windows Update Troubleshooter. We downloaded it, we ran it, and now we're running Windows Updates step 4, and that should solve your problem. So give us some feedback. We'd like to hear from you. If you're having trouble with your computer, leave us a message on the YouTube video. Again, we'd appreciate if you'd subscribe. It encourages us to make more videos. And also, we'd appreciate a thumbs up. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you on our next video. Have a great day.